And now back to the impeachment inquiry and a long day of testimony for the first two witnesses questioned publicly.
CBS4's Jim DeFede joins us now. And Jim, we watched, more than 5 hours of testimony today, more testimony coming on Friday. What were the Democrats trying to accomplish?
I think what the Democrats want to do was to give voice to the things that they've been talking about. So much of this has been done behind closed doors. We're now seeing for the first time and actually hearing from some of the key witnesses. What they want to do is sort of make the case that this was a serious offense by the president, that this call was not something that was perfect, as the president has claimed. And I think that one of the things that you saw was trying to draw out the idea that there was a lot at stake here. You know, when the ambassador talked about visiting the border at Ukraine and looking across the bridge to see Russian troops there, that's what was at stake here. You had U.S. military aid being withheld because the president allegedly was trying to extract conditions from those Ukrainians to get dirt on his opponents. And so I think that trying to get that narrative, trying to build a national security case, it was important for the Democrats.
So how about the Republicans? They were also taking the opportunity today.
The Republicans, clearly what they went into this wanting to do was to try to make the case as clearly as possible that the witnesses that you're hearing from today are not firsthand witnesses, which they are not, in the sense that none of them had had any dealings with Donald Trump. They were able to get both the ambassador and Mr. Kent to sort of clearly outline that they had not had direct dealings with the president, that these were their impressions of what was going on. The Republicans did a good job in trying to draw that out. One thing that you didn't hear, though, was the Republicans really stand up and say that what the president is alleged to have done was okay. They sort of said, well, at the end of the day, the aid got to the Ukrainians. At the end of the day, he didn't investigate the Bidens. So therefore, since they didn't actually accede to the president's demands, there's no real crime here. There's no real offense here. That's a weak defense. I'm not even sure it's one that the president would necessarily appreciate.
Now, the Republicans are still focusing on the whistleblower. Do you think we'll ever know the identity of the whistleblower?
Democrats are going to try very hard to make sure that doesn't happen. And I think that you have to understand what the motivation of the Republicans are in terms of wanting to get that whistleblower out. The president, and why the president is so obsessed with it, he again talked about it even today during a press conference with the president of Turkey. He brought up the whistleblower and needing to expose that person's identity. The president was very effective during the Mueller investigation of demonizing certain characters, minor characters in the Mueller case, Lisa Page and Strzok. He constantly talked about Page and Strzok, the two lovers.
Right.
He always made a big deal out of that. He doesn't have somebody in this case who he can vilify that way. He's looking for the next Page and Strzok. He's hoping it's the whistleblower, but he can't do that until the whistleblower's identity is known. Then he can tear that person apart.
Shifty Schiff?
That's not working. Those claims aren't really holding a lot of water. And then said he needs to go back to the root cause of it and try to extract that whistleblower and destroy that person.
Okay. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.